Redditors who took terrible advice from r/relationship advice. What happened? Sorry. I don't take advice from Redditors. I only take advice from psychics. And you know what they told me? I needed to communicate more with my partner. Lol. They most likely left there so over something stupid and realized how ridiculous the responses they got were. I'm not in a relationship and I never took advice from there. Thank God. Never take advice from that place. If you want some advice for your relationship, go to a place that specializes in it, like an actual couples counselor. I've seen the big three most of the time. Break up. Divorce. Open relationship. Your girlfriend is insecure because of your female friends? Break up with her, she will control you. Your husband not doing the dishes? Divorce him, that shows what type of man he is. Is your boyfriend bisexual and you worry about it? Open the relationship, he's bisexual, he'll be frustrated, you have to understand. Jesus Christ, it's like the people there are trying to ruin the relationship by giving such terrible advice. Taking the advice of relationship advice, my ex decided to continue to flirt with her coworker and let our 10-year relationship fall apart. Ended up leaving her and meeting a much better partner, and she ended up getting a UTI from said coworker, and is still single 1 year later. Best part was when one savvy Redditor went through her history and saw that she posted about her crush while complaining about her relationship with me. She deleted the post shortly after, but long enough for me to see it. Oh God, sometimes I lurk there for the free cringe. The Redditors that frequent that sub have some serious issues they need to address. Have a boyfriend/girlfriend/wife/husband/family issue? Well, better break up with them, tell them to hit the road, divorce them, or cut them out of your life completely. It's pretty ridiculous. Those people have some deep-seated family or attachment issues. It's pretty sad. Boring story, sorry. I posted looking for advice regarding a girl I was getting close with but who wasn't ready for a relationship. The advice was actually pretty decent: take care of your own feelings first. It might not be the right timing for you too. Etc. etc. Well, we're not in a relationship and we're not the same kind of close anymore. Oh well, such is life. We're still good friends though, so I think it turned out the best way possible. Granted, I had a pretty run-of-the-mill relationship problem and was looking for a place to vent and get some sound advice. So I'd say it served its purpose for me. Give the relationship some time. Backstory: was in a toxic relationship and was the only one basically trying. I would be talked down to, made fun of, verbally abused and decked. I broke down one day and asked my friend, we will call her Kelly, not her real name. She told me to give it some time. Toxic is toxic. He even cheated and he manipulated me to make it seem like it's my fault. I finally got advice from a different friend to leave. I'm in a better place now, thank God. The irony is that he was cheating on me with Kelly, smiley face. I feel like I have never gotten terrible advice, but however was terrible at executing the advice, therefore ending any chance I had at having the relationship happen. Please tell me I'm not the only one who feels this way. I didn't follow the terrible advice that they gave me. I posted there once basically to rant that my girlfriend and her roommates had given a temporary home to a street dog, and now that they had to move, the roommates wanted to get rid of the dog, put it to sleep or put it back in the street, because their new apartment didn't accept pets. So I took the dog in my home and I was stressed because it was the first week and the dog was a handful, and the roommates didn't care at all. Relationship advice? Give the dog to a shelter, because you will never love it, and break up with my GF, because she's a horrible person and you will resent her. A user literally said this is the beginning of the end of your relationship. What did I do? Talk with my GF, tell her I felt frustrated and that I really disliked that she and her friends had taken the dog out of the streets without thinking of the future. She told me she understood that and that she was going to pay for everything the dog needed until we, as a couple, could move in together, but that she wasn't going to act like the dog wasn't her responsibility. 2 years later, she has always paid for the food, vet, checkups, everything. And we're moving in together soon and taking the dog with us. So yeah, I'm glad I didn't listen to that terrible advice. Edit, apparently you can't mention a dog in Reddit without posting pics, so here's a picture of my dog. https://imager.com/a/a301t7m https://imager.com/a/a301t7m. So many people on that subreddit forget communication is a thing and go right to telling people to break up. I almost laugh at all those comments now. So predictable. Break up immediately. Don't talk it out. He or she is psychotic. Hire a lawyer. It reminded me that the only opinion that truly matters is mine. Quoted using a throwaway account about how my family doesn't like that my boyfriend isn't like my sister's husband. I'm glad I took the advice to stick to my guns, as it turns out my brother-in-law is a shitty person at times. And I mean, it's like my sister contemplated divorce levels of bad. My parents realized that my boyfriend isn't that bad after all and they accept him now. I didn't take the advice provided. I asked for help and tips into making a relationship healthy and how to communicate properly, as my parents had a very toxic relationship and I don't have much of an idea of what an actually healthy relationship looks like. I included a bit of my parents' relationship as an example of what I want to avoid. My boyfriend treats me amazingly and he's an absolute precious sweetheart. I made sure to include this in the post to avoid having to deal with some misconceptions. Well, guess what? I got told over and over to break up and to leave my boyfriend, that if it would be a good relationship I wouldn't have to ask for advice. Some people straight up told me that my parents' relationship is great and I should follow their footsteps. My father is a physically abusive alcoholic and my mother a mentally abusive one. No fucking thank you. After about 2 comments telling me to leave this wonderful man and encouraging a lot of the negative behavior shown from my parents, I just deleted the post and took a long ass break from that subreddit. Still in a relationship. We're doing slightly better than we were during that time, still rough, but hey, who said relationships are easy? I'm sorry, Why is that 20 spelled with an O? On one hand, they helped me get the courage to leave a legitimately toxic relationship. Dude was super controlling and manipulative, and was cheating on me the entire time. Then again, I also consulted with other people in my actual life like my parents and friends. On the other hand, they also told me to just walk up and kiss, without asking, my best friend whom I had a crush on. I was asking how I should talk to him about my feelings in a way that wasn't going to be awkward if he didn't feel the same. Also, asked opinions on if the guy I was talking to was planning on ghosting me. Everyone assumed he was seeing another woman and that I should just let him go. Ended up asking him instead, and turns out he was having trouble with his anxiety and depression, and that he was too afraid to talk about it with me because he didn't want to scare me away, and that he wasn't just neglecting me. He was very appreciative that I asked him what was going on. The last 2 paragraphs sound like an advice teenagers would give, which isn't particularly rare on that subreddit. You run this risk when asking strangers for advice. There's no way after a paragraph or 2 that a group of Redditors can have enough relevant information to give solid relationship advice. Obviously, if someone is seeking advice regarding abuse, cheating, or violence, any sensible person can tell the victim to leave the situation. But, when it comes to nuanced and complicated relationship issues, taking internet advice from strangers is a total crapshoot. You might get solid good advice or you could get the worst advice ever given or anything in between. There was one thread about a girl whose new boyfriend kept pressuring her to try anal, but she had secretly tried it with her previous guy and hated it. I posted to just bluntly tell him, never did it, never going to close the door as firmly as possible. And I got downvoted to hell, edit by people who said, healthy relationships are not based on lies. Whatever. I'm not saying it's right to lie, but so many guys take the "you did it for him but not for me, what am I not good enough" challenging stance that I can understand why someone would to head it off. But with not trying it before, he could say, how can you say you hate it, either you never tried it, you never give me a chance, you don't trust me, etc. Seems like a lose-lose. Better to just tell the truth. I never posted but used to read stories on there all the time. I eventually had to stop because I started getting overly suspicious about my husband. It was ridiculous. I was constantly looking for red flags in our relationship and ended up being the red flag. I haven't been back on there in years. This was kind of me. I've never had a relationship before, but sometimes I get anxiety about the future, like what if my future girlfriend cheats on me. I also used to read stories there too, and it boosted my anxiety so bad. Haven't been back there in a while and I'm feeling pretty gawked. They told me I was a misogynistic asshole for being angry at my GF for constantly being violent and abusive. I ignored them and left her. I wasn't the one getting advice, my girlfriend was. We had been together 6 years. Honestly, it had been long distance for a year, we were drifting apart, it definitely wouldn't have lasted regardless. But I went to her place for the weekend, again, long distance at that point, so that's the only time I'd see her, and she point blank said it was over, there would be no changing her mind, it isn't up for discussion, go home. It's kinda crazy, but I knew she used Reddit but I didn't and didn't know what it was. A couple months later I started using it and found her by random coincidence. She was commenting on a news article directly related to her team at her university, and based on the username there's no way it could have been anyone else. I made the mistake of looking at her profile and seeing she was very active in relationship advice, and once I learned how that place operates it all made sense. This was about 6 years ago at this point and it still affects me. After that much time, I feel I was at least owed the honest discussion of we need to try to fix this. She was such a major part of my life that it really fucked me up for a while. I almost lost my job due to constant panic attacks, just generally being super unstable, Again, it never would have lasted anyway, but those assholes telling her to immediately break all ties with me hurt me worse than anything in my life, and it still has lasting effects. I hope you will get over her. Please don't take advice from that sub. A worried spouse could say something like, my husband's been coming home 10 minutes late from work every day for the past week, and people will respond with, he's probably cheating on you, hire a pie and see what's going on. Meanwhile, this problem could have been solved if she just talked to hubby instead of going full-blown conspiracy mode. I swear you'll think you're licensed therapist or some crap. No one is stupid enough to trust strangers in the internet to give them life advice based on a couple paragraphs summing up months or years of their relationship with a lover. Right? I realized years ago that I wanted to be talked out of something, I talked to my mom. If I wanted to be talked into something, I talked to one of my sisters. Once I realized this, I just made my own decisions. But some people may need strangers on the internet agreeing with what they have already decided before taking action. Gives them extra courage. At least you hope they are not going against their better judgment. Others are likely just trolling. I guess it also gives them validation when they are in an actually toxic relationship. For example, saw a kid posting about how he wasn't getting along with his parents, they were making him work or something normal parents do. And Reddit told him he should basically confront them and tell them off. Next update post said that they kicked him out of the house. Not positive, but I think the Reddit lynch mob dropped the ball on that one. Not as bad as the guy who went on Reddit asking for advice about his wife asking for a divorce. A user suggested he consult with all the lawyers in the area so that there would be some kind of conflict of interest and they would not be able to consult his wife. He ended up getting so screwed because his wife's lawyer knew what he was doing and threatened stuff to make him stop. Ended up divorced. Do they expect that he just hold his wife hostage? If they're considering a divorce, you have much worse issues. One post that stood out for me was a guy asking for advice after finding out his girl was lying to him about where she went one afternoon. The whole comment section rallied with torches and pitchforks, telling him she's cheating and he should just leave. Anyway, turned out she lied cause she got him a lovely birthday present, a snake, cause the guy loves snakes, and met up with a breeder that afternoon to sort everything out. Glad the dude didn't listen and just asked her what happened instead. Was that the one where he was planning on buying her an engagement ring and her best friend came over to help him pick one and the GF told him that she was out with the best friend? Yeah, exactly that one. God, I never go on that sub anymore because everyone's solution is just to break up, even if it's something small like not getting a haircut. Well, if he doesn't want to cut his hair for you, that means he doesn't value you or care about you as a person. Break up with him. Like, I wasn't even complaining about his long hair toe. The only thing you can say to that is, yeah, like how chicks who respect their so's shave their armpits. Then get the popcorn ready. I hit the lawyer, deleted the gym, and hired Facebook. I did the cat, Shane Dawson. Knowing Reddit, someone posts on the wrong sub asking how to make sourdough and winds up in therapy, divorcing their spouse. Red flag. You drop these, triangular flag on post, triangular flag on post, triangular flag on post. I posted years ago, because my then BF and I had a fight. He was religious, I wasn't, and the fight seemed to be about that. Reddit told me to break up, this wouldn't work out. What I didn't realize was that we didn't fight about religion but about our expectations of our relationship. Once we got that behind, we had a great time. We got married last week, after 6 years together. Edit, in case you wonder if this is just some made-up sob story, https://imager.com/shay/l1nongu9 edit, dumbass me wrote r/ instead of you/. In a way, you got rid of your boyfriend, by making him your husband. Congratulations. Smiles. I've seen some people get real help. They're getting a push to run from a toxic partner, and that is good, but lately I felt like it's not a good place for someone like me who's never sure of their relationships and feelings. You might gay sway too easily. That sub is the biggest shithole, but I mean your fault if you let personal stuff be decided by 10-year-old trolls on Reddit. Wow. That one and Ita. I hate how someone will post their one-sided, exaggerated rant asking for advice, and through the most narrow context ever, people tell them what to do. There are some that are so blatant. Like, my husband has been poisoning my food for the past 4 years, and it's like, how the fuck do you think going to Reddit is the norm? Go to the goddamn police. What the fuck? RA needs to get shut down. Just assume everything on Ita, relationship advice, Tifu, and confessions is fake because 99% of it is. I don't know why relationship advice gets so much hate. Most of the posts are like, my wife/husband has cheated on me multiple times, they get aggressive if I don't do what they want, and they don't let me have friends. Is this relationship salvageable? So of course most of the advice is to break up. Who posts on relationship advice if they only have minor problems? They get hate because no matter what's posted, or the nuance and context, the advice is break up s/he is toxic. Or red flag, or some other sensationalist reply, or get therapy. My personal belief is that if you go to that thread for advice, you need therapy. It wasn't relationship advice, but it was another online advice thing called life. Basically, when I first started seeing my boyfriend, I noticed he was paying a little less attention to me. He did have a lot going on at the time as well. Also, things get less intense after a bit, and I do have a habit of overthinking until I panic. He said he'd come with me to pick up a bike, and I was calling and messaging him all day but couldn't get a response, and I was starting to run out of time till I had to go. One person just said, you need to end it, he doesn't respect you enough basically. He responded just in the nick of time for me to pick him up to get this bike, and immediately when he got in the car and saw how upset I was, he apologized and explained because he had stayed late to help pack up after a big event, which I know was true because I had stayed to help for a bit too. It ended up going on way longer than expected, and, with everything else, he had just been so exhausted he slept through his alarms, my phone calls etc. It's over a year later now and we're fine, just moved into a house together. We have problems sometimes, but we have this foolproof system called talking about it. Really groundbreaking stuff, pioneered in the last 2 years, we're early adopters. That sub's weird AF. Like there will be people saying to break up before communicating, and some people will say to stay and give a toxic relationship a chance. And they get upvoted, while logical replies get downvoted lol. I once argued with someone there that first the person should speak openly and honestly about what's bothering them before going straight to leaving. They responded, I figure if they're posting for advice on Reddit, they've already taken the logical steps. Oh, how wrong you are, my friend, and yet I got downvoted. I read the posts when I can't sleep at night but have never/will never post. It's like a soap opera over there. I just enjoy reading the crazies. Sometimes when I'm really bored, I'll open any thread in /r/politics with 1,500 plus comments and scroll all the way to the bottom. That's fun.